How many times do you get that dreaded power bill in the mail and wonder how much it'll cost this month? Money. It rules our lives the same way as our culture and ethics do. So why don't we do something to put more money in our pocket and pay less in bills? By understanding how energy efficient appliances affect our bills, we can put more money in our pockets. As a heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and refrigeration technician, I have a base understanding of those appliances. When I walk into a building, I have to assess how much power draw an air conditioner has and what effect that's going to have on my customer. Because not only do they need cooling, but I need to make sure they don't pay a lot either. By looking at how appliances affect our power use, we can better understand how that power affects us and how the energy efficient appliances can in turn affect the bill. As kids, our parents used to tell us not to mess with the thermostat, to turn the lights off when we weren't using them, and as adults, we understand why. Devices tend to drain power. Now, we need to understand why that happens. There are two main things we need to know first: what a load device is and where it gets power from. A load device, by definition, Energy Education Canada says, a load device is simply any component of an electrical circuit that consumes power or energy. Also, when you think about that, some drain constantly, some don't, but where do they get the power from? Dictionary.com defines a power supply as a device that provides power to electrical machines, generators, and so on. As I stated before, some things drain power constantly from those power sources. These things are called energy vampires, but not only are they vampires, they're performing an operation called standby power. Standbypower.org states that typical American phones have 40 products constantly drawing power. What does that mean to us? Standby power simply says that it's plugged into a wall and it's still using power to operate even if it's not being used. That still has a power draw and effect on our bill even if we're not using that product. What is using our power in that way? Cell phone chargers, transformers for those of us overseas because we need some way to use American electronics in a different country that has different electrical requirements. So since we have an understanding of what power supply is and what a load device is, we can kind of understand how this affects our electrical bills. We have appliances throughout our house that we talked about that are loads. Now, once again, as an HVAC technician, I can tell you that air conditioners are some of the most power-hungry appliances out there. OasisEnergy.com says that central air conditioners and heat pumps use 15,000 watts of power per hour. That equates to roughly $1.50 per hour. Why does that happen, and what is a heat pump? By definition, once again, as an HVAC technician, I can tell you that a heat pump is an air conditioner with a specific valve inside it that operates to provide heat in the winter and cooling in the summer. Now, I wouldn't say that they always use 15,000 watts an hour because that would be an extraneous amount of money. I will say, however, that air conditioners power on and off to cycle with what you need for cooling. That being said, Pacific Gas and Electric gave consumers the idea to save money on electrical cost. And one of their main points was that you can save up to 10% on your cooling costs by simply turning the thermostat back 7 to 10 degrees for 8 hours a day on its normal setting. What point of the day would we do this? Overall, we need to look at when you need cooling or when you need heating. Some people argue the best time to do that is at night because you're not using it. And that's what most people do. They'll turn off their cooling or turn off their heating at night. But another thing to think about is if it's the middle point of the day and it's the winter, you don't necessarily need heating. That's the hottest point of the day between 12 and 2. So turn your thermostat back, let it do its thing, save money. But what happens when you turn back your thermostat is you're telling it you don't need it to come on right now. That's all. Therefore, your air conditioner won't operate and you save money. Now, high power use costs us more overall. As a whole, EnergySage.com states that home appliances, i.e. washing machines, dryers, dishwashers, refrigerators, air conditioners, account for 20% of your home's total electric bill. And on average, according to electricitylocal.com, the average bill is $107 per month. Now, it's not that crazy to think about just turning that dial back when you don't need the heating or cooling during the day and saving that money by telling it to operate less. Many federal and state governments have initiatives that are being created to help us pay less money. It's kind of like our parents knew something back in the day when they told us not to mess with things, because even the government's doing it now. According to Halpern Business Week Online, there's a new program, well, not necessarily new, but it's there, called Energy Star. And it's possibly one of the easiest ways to pick out energy saving appliances and then save money. What happens are these energy saving appliances have a special sticker, and that sticker tells you on a gauge if it uses more or less power. The higher the gauge is, the more money you save, because it's more energy efficient. Mr. Al Hassan states in an article on Improved Smart Power that end users, being us, must reduce their energy consumption by altering their energy utilization patterns and using energy efficient equipment and devices. That's operating devices that are Energy Star. Now, programs like Energy Star give recommendations on how to better improve your house energy efficiency as a whole, which in turn saves us more money. Not only are there certain devices that operate more efficiently, but there are certain processes. Turning off the lights, turning down your air conditioner. There are things you can do to save yourself more money. In 2017 alone, Energy Star and its partners helped Americans avoid $30 billion in energy costs. In other words, when I have kids, I'll likely be telling them to turn off the lights and powers and leave the thermostat alone. By doing that, we'll feel less of the effect our appliances have on us. We'll see less of the effect on our bills and in turn be able to put more money into our pockets. When we take time to consider what our power usage is and how it affects us on our bills, we finally get to put more money towards us and our families.